Yeah. I like being behind the camera better than I like being in front of it.
I'm ready, let's do it. The type of person Jillian is a caring, loving, supportive individual. She always sees the good side in people.
He's just a wonderful person. I mean, when I first met him, obviously I thought he was cute. He was big and tall.
She's always, chipper. She's always, in a good mood.
He's just is like a social butterfly and just makes everyone laugh.
She's very ambitious. She really likes to think outside the box and really kind of drives for her passions.
He just always sees the best in people. He always sees the best in me, even when I can't see it in myself. And he's just great. I just love him. So David and I met in college. We were both in the journalism department.
We first met my junior year in journalism class. She remembers it fondly, but I don't.
I remember very clearly the first time I saw him, but he doesn't actually really remember me until probably like right before he graduated.
She was very quiet, and I didn't really notice her, to be honest. I was just kind of doing my thing, and she was just the quiet girl in the back that I had really no idea about. We had this journalism class, and there's about a dozen or 15 of us, and so we got to know each other very well just because we'd all be working together a lot.
That class allowed for a lot of interaction with the students. It was a broadcast class, so we would have to go out and shoot stories.
And just naturally, I came to find that she was just a really cool, laid-back girl.
And he, okay, I kind of trapped him, and a lot of the times some of the stories needed a second shooter, and so one of the stories that I did, I didn't really need a second shooter, but I kind of wanted an excuse to hang out with him outside of class.
She asked for my help in filming a story, and I helped her, and that was kind of her attempt to get me to notice her.
And he didn't really think anything of it. Probably just like helping out a classmate, and that was that.
And so, but I didn't think much of it. I thought it was just a classmate asking for help. So I didn't know that was her attempt of like me, or for her trying to get me to notice her. But it was just me helping out a classmate, and that's really what I saw it as.
A few weeks later, I wanted another excuse to hang out with him outside of class, and I was getting ready to move to a new apartment, and my dad had asked me to get all of my heavy furniture from my room upstairs down into my living room. I thought that this was a really great opportunity to text David. He's a big guy, and I figured it would make sense why I would ask him. What he didn't know is that my two best friends, who were guys, lived about 6 doors down, and I just told them that I was busy and not to come over at all that day, and had David come over, and I told David that I could pay him or I could take him out for a drink, and luckily he picked the drink. We were there for about 2.5 hours, talked, and went home. I called my mom that night and told her that I was pretty sure I just had my first date with my future husband, even though to him it wasn't a date yet.
So our first date, our answers would vary. My interpretation of our first date would be going down to San Diego to see her sister compete in a pageant. We saw Delaney compete in a pageant. And that same weekend, we came back up to Rancho Santa Margarita, where my parents were living at the time, and we went to go see a Galaxy game that same weekend. That's what I would say would be our first date, but you're gonna get a different answer from her.
And from then on out, I was really the only person in SLO that summer that he knew. So I guess you could say I was his last resort when we weren't working.
The summer after I graduated in SLO is pretty dead, the whole town was, and she was the only person I knew that was in town. And so when I wasn't working, we just hang out a lot because she was the only person I knew that was in town. So just by default, I guess we were hanging out a lot.
And I had to work really hard for him. I invited him over one night to watch a movie, and I kind of assumed that he would just like sit on the bed next to me because my bed had been acting as my couch for a couple of weeks at this point. And he didn't. He sat in the big purple love seat, and so I sat on the foot of my bed and I fell asleep about an hour into it, and I woke up the next morning with a text from him. He had sent me a selfie that he took of him with me sleeping behind him. He came over again a couple weeks later to watch a movie, and before he got there, I purposely put a bunch of books and boxes and things on that purple love seat so he had to sit on the bed next to me.
So our first kiss actually happened before my first date, or the way I envisioned our first date.
I went to his place one night I brought a bottle of wine from work, and I just thought we would have a bottle of wine and talk and just kind of hang out, and turns out he doesn't like red wine. And I was working at a winery at the time, and so I got a really great deal on a really nice bottle of wine, so I drank it.
And she came over and had a whole bottle of wine to herself.
And after embarrassingly finishing the entire bottle, I had enough liquid courage in me to ask him if he actually liked me or if he was just flirting with me because he was bored.
She asked me if, I liked her or if I was just kind of flirting just because I was bored, and told her I liked her. And in my mind, that basically gave me the green light. And so on our way out, after she sobered up, of course.
After I sobered up, he walked me out to drive home, and he kissed me for the first time.
I reached out for her and gave her a kiss, and that was the end of the night.
Okay, so David proposed on Father's Day last year. Actually, a year ago today is when he proposed.
Luckily, I was able to coordinate with her older sister, Keelan, about getting both of our immediate family at the same place.
I was getting ready to give up my title as Miss California, and he had coordinated with my sister months in advance to get both of our families in San Francisco around at the same time.
Her older sister made it seem that she was going to make some big announcement, and she wanted both of our families to be there. And everyone was assuming that she was going to announce that she was pregnant. And her family was there, my family was there, and we all gathered up for a quote-unquote family picture.
And we get there, and his dad shows up with a tripod and a camera, and I guess that probably should have tipped me off a little bit. They set up the camera on the tripod, and we're all standing in front of Pier 39 for a group picture. David just kind of pulled me forward, and as soon as he grabbed my hand, I knew it was about to happen, and I just kind of was like in disbelief.
And I remember reaching for the ring in my back pocket and trying to get it, and my hands were shaking. So up until that point, I wasn't really nervous, but when push comes to shove, at the time of, I was pretty nervous.
And yeah, he got down on one knee and asked me to marry him, and obviously I said yes.
She said yes, so it worked out. Some future plans I'm looking forward to with her, getting married.
I'm just really looking forward to building a life with him. I think in the grand scheme of things, we're pretty young, and so yeah, that's a little scary, but I also look at it like we get to grow up together. And
just looking forward to all of the big things adults can accomplish together. Buying a house, having children, traveling, I think would just be the biggest things that I'm really looking forward to with her, and just spending life with her.
I'm looking forward to, obviously buying our first house together, having kids with him. I think he's gonna be just the best dad ever. He's gonna be the hottest dad ever. And just kind of building a life with him and growing up with him, because we are, for the most part, pretty young, and not everyone gets to meet their person as young as we did, and I feel really lucky that I got to meet him and grow up with him.
My favorite attribute about Jill would just be her personality. She's a very fun, loving individual. She's very caring. She's beautiful. Like she's gorgeous. I don't love her as like Miss California, but what I mean by that is I fell in love with Jillian Smith, not Miss California. Miss California was just something that she could showcase her talents with, but I fell in love with Jillian Smith, who happened to be Miss California.
I love his arms. They're just big and nice, and they make me feel really dainty. And his eyes. He's got just like these piercing blue eyes that I really hope he passes on to our kids.
I would think her favorite attribute about me, physically, I think she likes my arms and she loves my butt for whatever reason. Drives me nuts when she tries and tickles it.
I also think he has a really cute butt. I pinch it a lot, and I think it drives him kind of crazy. My biggest pet peeve is she tickles my butt all the time, and it drives me absolutely nuts. Like if I'm laying in bed, she'll just reach over and start tickling me, and she'll tickle me whenever she'll tickle me whenever she gets a chance. I tickle him a lot, and it drives him nuts, but I think he secretly likes it because he laughs and he smiles when I'm doing it.
Probably my phone.
His phone. Yeah, he probably can't live without his phone, and I would hope that he would say he can't live without me.
Her, I think would be the right answer too. I couldn't live without her. Yeah, no, those would be the ones I couldn't live without.
Well, I can't live without him, obviously, and I can't live without our dogs. They're just like our whole world, and that's pretty much it. As long as I've got him and our dogs, I'm pretty content. Yeah.
The dogs. I think something that she couldn't live without are like the dogs. I am the better driver.
Okay, I know he's gonna say he's the better driver.
By far. If she tells you she's a better driver, she is a liar, but I love her very much. There's no way she's a better driver than me.
I think I'm the better driver.
There's no way she's a better driver. I am the better driver. I will drive literally everywhere we go for anything, for whatever reason. I'm the better driver. Conversation over.
I think I'm the better driver, but I know he thinks he is, so.
No way she's a better driver than me. Depends on who you ask.
Me, I'm the better cook.
She'd probably say her. I make some mean pasta. I make some really, really good pesto pasta.
I mean, I'm not even a great cook, but he makes pasta.
She's more good about like the meats, like the chickens and the the vegetables and things like that.
And I don't really think I've ever seen him make anything beyond that.
She's definitely the more messier one.
I'm messier.
I don't know how to think about that. She'll leave her clothes around, she'll leave dishes in the sink.
I'm definitely messier. I'm the one that will leave clothes around the laundry hamper instead of in it.
The apartment's a mess right now. She's more the messier one.
Yeah, definitely me. David, you are the best man that I have ever known, and I'm so happy and I feel so blessed that you picked me to be your partner and to tackle life together. I know that you are just going to be the most incredible husband, incredible father, and always put me and our future kids before yourself and anyone else. And I just love you for who you are, and I'm really excited to marry you. You are the best thing that has ever happened to me, and you make me a better person, and I love you for that. And I'm just so excited to marry you.
Jillian, hey babe. I am so excited, so freaking excited to spend the rest of my life with you. You're my world, you're my everything. I couldn't live without you. You give my life meaning. And I'm so excited to tackle the obstacles of life with you, to buy our first home together, to have our first kid together, to have our second kid together, but no more than that, no more than 2. We agreed on that. And I love you so much. You mean so much to me than you could ever imagine. And I love you with all my heart. And I'm so excited to marry you, and I'm so excited to be your husband. And I'm so excited for you to be my wife. I love you very much.